Hello, welcome back. I can see 5 people have joined the stream. Let's wait for a couple of more people to come. If you know people who are interested, bring them on. We have a very exciting day ahead. Okay, so we have a session at 1:15, so let's start. 9 people, or let's people are joining in. Let's wait for a couple of more minutes. All right, so let's start today's session. A very good afternoon. Welcome back to TRION Bootcamp 2.0 Day 2. Yesterday's session was amazing and informative, knowledgeable, futuristic, and filled with amazing and exciting sessions by knowledgeable people, including Full Stack and Mon by Praveen Kumar, Hands-on Git and GitHub Workshop by Mr. Shivam Goyal, and the first step, the Starting to Programming by Mr. Mohit Unyal. Today, it's going to be one step further than yesterday. The Kahoot quiz that was cancelled yesterday will be held today. We'll have a mega Kahoot quiz in which we'll be giving exciting prizes. Apart from that, we'll have three amazing sessions with relevant topics and with experienced and highly knowledgeable industry professionals. The first event today, you can check the schedule out on trion.xyz, by the way. It's a free domain, so you can go and check out the website. The first session today from 1:15 to 1:45 is by Ms. Usha Rengraju on the applications of data science across domains, a very relevant topic. It's a hot topic as of now for all techies out there, and I'm sure everyone will be extremely interested in joining in. Then we have a mega Kahoot quiz from 1:45 to 2:15, which will result in freebies and exciting prizes for everyone who participates. Then we have design thinking by Tanushi Karanwal. Again, a very interesting, relevant, and exciting topic. And after a short break, we have a session on how teams can build and ship projects fast using Repelite, a very exciting software, a partner in fact, and by a very knowledgeable professional, Mr. Arnav Bansal. So I hope you're all excited and pumped for our day 2 of Trion Bootcamp 2.0. It's going to be a very exciting and knowledgeable and exciting day for everyone who joins in. So without further ado, let's start our first session by Ms. Usha. Hi, ma'am, are you there?
Yeah, Yuvraj, I'm there. Start sharing my screen.
Yes, ma'am, you can start sharing the screen.
Hope my screen is visible. So today's session is about data science applications of AI across domains. And you can go to kaggle.com because I'm going to show all the applications from real world applications from kaggle.com. So go to Kaggle and create an account if you already don't have. And so the first applications we are going to deal with is RSNA, STR, pulmonary detection. So this is from a healthcare domain. And so what is pulmonary embolism? So if you take pulmonary embolism, it is a condition where your artery is being blocked. because in artery, in the sense, there are several places where arteries are there, but arteries in the lungs is blocked. So if artery in the lungs is blocked, then you cannot breathe. Breathing is very, very essential to us as human beings. And imagine if every breath of you is going to become difficult and you are not able to breathe, then that's the whole system is out there, and people cannot survive beyond that. This is a very, very the most cruel thing which can happen to human beings. And this particular condition is a very, very severe condition, and diagnosis can be very complicated for this pulmonary embolism cases. And the specialist, first off, getting a specialist appointment is very difficult. And imagine your every breath is getting difficult, and it takes, if in India, a country like India, where you have like the doctor to patient ratio is very less, and specifically the general doctor patient ratio is less, and specialist, imagine, they're scarcely populated. Some cities don't even have the specialist. They'll have to travel to a different city to meet a specialist. And a lot of people are dying because they don't even get an appointment in the first place. The diagnosis itself it doesn't happen. Before that, it's a day die, because it's a shortage of doctors and shortage of clinical facilities in developing countries and in India particularly. And we just get lost with a lot of things happening around us, our busy lives, our work lives. As long as things are working for us, we don't think about what's happening around us. But if you just pay attention and look at, there are a lot of people below the poverty line. There are a lot of people who are struggling to make a living, and for them to pay huge sum for specialist treatment and getting operated again is going to be a very costly affair. So this is a very, very, healthcare has always been a critical problem for human beings and in developing countries. And this and amongst all problems, pulmonary embolism is even deadly, with every breath becoming difficult. And this generally it is diagnosed by using CT scan. So your doctor, the moment he suspects something related to, you have something related to pulmonary embolism, he orders for the CT scans. And this process is called pulmonary angiography. And this CT scans is where the radiologist scan for your blockage and do it. But this again is very complicated. Sometimes human beings might miss out on this. There could be a lot of misdiagnosis, wrong diagnosis, and all that. And this could get extremely difficult. And so if so this is pulmonary embolism cases in CT scans where deep learning for computer vision is extensively used. And using this is a competition which is being launched in Kaggle. I'm going to take that competition and I'm going to show you. So this was the competition which was launched in Kaggle. The competition name was RSNA pulmonary embolism detection. So basically, you are given a lot of images, and you will have to detect the pulmonary embolism in these images. So this was organized by Radiology Society of North America, and you have to classify the pulmonary embolism cases in chest CT scans. This is the whole problem statement. This is an object detection problem, and there are a lot of Kagglers across the world who participated in this competition. But this doesn't apply just to Radiological Society of North America. It is like more than US. I think it's India who needs such things, such such innovation. Of course, there's a lot of AI which is happening in healthcare in India as well. But we still have to catch up. There's a lot to catch up. And so this is the first use case revolving healthcare and pulmonary embolism. And it's specifically an object detection problem, so computer vision problem, and involving image data. So the next problem which we are going to see is going to be something which is relevant to the recent times. the COVID-19. So I thought the COVID has stopped. Now we have 10 days lockdown in Bangalore, and I'm not sure of the other cities. So I thought COVID, I thought 2 months before, I thought, COVID problem has resolved, and slowly the life has started catching up. But then again, now we have 10 days of lockdown. So we have some never ending situation here. And even with the advent of vaccine, there's still lockdown, and there's still like, uncertainty and adversity still continues. And so this is a very, very critical problem which shook the entire world for more than a year. This COVID-19, so all over the world, there were researchers, working on how to bring about the vaccine. And see here, the vaccine for mass production. So this is a thing which spreads, right? And with, touch, and with, air, sneezing and touch and a lot of things, the virus spreads. So you require a vaccine production at mass. You'll have to do a large scale vaccine production. And so this is the whole context of COVID mRNA vaccine degradation prediction issued from Stanford University. So Stanford University came up with this problem. So there is one special research unit in Stanford University who were dealing with they were not COVID-19 researchers. They were generally, before this COVID-19 came up, they were just video gaming researchers, where they used to use a lot of video gaming and other gaming technologies to simulate, do a lot of simulations, and come up with most appropriate solutions for a lot of problems. So after this COVID-19 struck, this team of researchers, what they did was, through various simulations, they were able to figure out mRNA vaccine would be the ideal solution for the current COVID situation. But so now that you have found out mRNA is ideal, then why not do it at mass scale? That's where the problem is. When you do it at mass scale and send it to countries outside the US, then that's going to be there's a mRNA degrades at a very higher speed, and by the time the vaccine actually reaches the destination country, the effect would have been totally lost. Or if there is a small scale during production and stuff, again the vaccine would degrade and have no effect at all. So this is a very, very serious problem. So we need to find out exactly which pattern in that mRNA sequence is causing this degradation. So this was a research problem which was posed by Stanford University. And this was again hosted in Kaggle, and this was a machine learning problem with tabular data, and the lot of people who participated in it, and they were able to bring about some kind of a partial solutions. And there's still the researchers, even after the competition is over, it's still working on it. And hopefully this might prove us, this might be most needed in the current times, this research, and hopefully it stabilizes and comes into production. And this is again a problem statement. I'm going to take that problem and I'm going to show you. So this is prone to cutting. This is safe from degradation. This is an mRNA molecule. This is the whole computation. It's from Stanford University. And urgent need to bring COVID vaccine to mass production. This is the open vaccine. And so this is the problem statement, and this is something which you can dig through. You can read, look at the code data if you're interested, and check out. And there's a lot of code examples for you to get started. There's also a discussion forum where you can, learn a lot of things. So this is some example for which competition which got over, and let's also discuss the other competitions. So there is this competition from Harvard University and MIT and the other research lab. This is called mechanism of action prediction. So this mechanism of action prediction is this. There's a story behind this as well. So if you see in long olden days, we they used to prepare drugs using eureka moment or continuous series of experiments for years, and or then they would there's high probability they would they were not studying the biological mechanisms of the drugs and creating it. They were just doing a series of experiments over and over again, and sometimes they get lucky, the drug is effective and sometimes not. So but things have changed in drug discovery these days. The scientists study the underlying biological mechanisms of the drug with the cellular level and the cellular interactions with the human cells. So there's a lot new perspective for drug discovery now. And machine learning, deep learning plays a huge role in drug discovery these days. And so this is a competition which was again proposed by mechanism of action prediction from Harvard University, where we have to predict for a given drug. There will be like 207 targets. We have to find out, for a given drug, will this target bind to a protein or not. So this was the whole problem statement from Harvard University. And if this is successful, and if we can successfully study the underlying biological mechanisms using machine learning, then that saves us a lot of time, and gives us more insight into drug discovery. And for a lot of things right now, we whatever diseases we think we have no solution for drugs, there's a high hope that those problems will find new drugs soon. So this is a very very important problem statement. So let's go and see. So this is the problem statement. So the whole problem statement is, you need to improve the algorithm that classify drugs based on their biological activity. And this is from Laboratory for Innovation Science at Harvard. And this is also in collaboration with MIT and NIH Common Funds Library for Integrating. Network based cellular signatures. And so this is the competition from Harvard, and this is the problem statement. So this is a very very interesting problem statement which could revolutionize the drug discovery, and lead to a lot of changes uh, in the lives we live right now. And let's go to the next problem statement. So far we've seen a lot in healthcare. There's few more to come in healthcare, which is SIIM, ISIC melanoma classification. This is again a research problem involving deep learning for computer vision. This SIIM is a research body, and ISIC is another research body. Both of the aim of these two research bodies is to come up with research which would bring down the mortality of skin cancer. And ISIC maintains the largest public or archive of lot of images which could be used for the research for skin cancer. And so this is the whole problem statement is, given an image, you have to classify if the particular image has got lesion images or not. And skin cancer, if you see, it's one of the most prevalent types of cancer. But among skin cancer, melanoma is not that common. But if at all melanoma occurs, then there's a high probability of patient might die. And a small statistics, there were estimated 100,000 cases for melanoma in 2020. And it was estimated around 7,000 people might have died in 2020 because of melanoma. And so this is quite a big problem if there's 100,000 cases in US alone and put together in the world. Like imagine what that number would be. And this is one of the problem. And it's also difficult for dermatologists to go and see every particular mole in a patient's body and see if that has a melanoma or not. And it's a very time consuming and annoying process for the dermatologist. So automating it using deep learning can go a long way in giving a good treatment to a lot of patients. So far, we've seen a lot in healthcare. Let's move on to some examples in education sector. This was a problem statement from a South Korean company, which was based called Ride. It's an education tech online provider. So the whole problem statement here is, now every education is almost online. I see a lot of people studying online. Mobile has become inevitable these days, and laptop and mobile, because all the education these days is happening through the online devices only. So the education is also like shifting to a different perspective. Now people are comfortable, accepting online degrees for their jobs. And so the lot of online education forums and online education providers are picking up. And the whole problem statement here for right is like, a students performance is continuously tracked, and then can we use all these information about the students prior performance, and how he is, how much questions he is answering, how long he is staying in a particular question. A lot of information like this is collected, and we can we predict what the future student might do in future. So this is using some historical data and making a prediction of what the student might do in future. And so this is one competition from sports. We have seen education, now it's sports. So this competition, this is a video competition. It's a video data. It's a computer vision for object detection competition. And here it's a NFL league match is going live, and you'll have to predict if a particular impact of helmets. So it will be a presence of helmet, cause the player injury or not. So the whole problem statement is detecting the impact of helmets. And there's another problem statement here, rainforest connection species audio detection. We are going to automate the detection of bird and frog species in a tropical soundscape. And here it is like when you take an audio monitoring system in a rainforest, it's obviously very, very difficult to monitor everything in a rainforest as big as Amazon and all that. So manual intervention is going to be very, very difficult. So coming up with aquatic biodiversity automated systems which can track the biodiversity in such huge rainforests is very much crucial. And there are a lot of organizations who come up with such device. Rainforest Connection is one such device. Cornell Labs of Ornithology. So these are organizations which work on these specific use case. And so here the problem statement is given an audio signal. You'll have to predict if the audio signal is a bird or a cat or a frog. And so this is one of the problem statements here. So the final problem statement we have here is from agriculture. So you have a lot of images here, and you'll have to classify if a particular leaf has got disease or not. Cassava is a staple food for Africa, and you'll have to do a classification which of the disease category these leaves belongs to. There are four categories of diseases and one healthy leaf, so you'll have to classify which of the four disease categories. That could go a long way helping farmers to cut off those leaves or take necessary action based on the disease it has. And this is a use case from agriculture. And so these are several some of the use cases of data science across domains. And this is the end of the session, and I would like to open up for questions. If there are any questions, I would like to take them now.
Thank you so much, Usha ma'am. That was a fantastic and very, very insightful session. So I hope everyone liked the session about the different domains that data science can be used in such a broad topic, and everyone wants to get in some way or the other. So I hope this, opened the creative minds of some people and gave many people the knowledge that they didn't have. So thank you so much for that session. That was truly great. Now moving on, our second event for today is our mega Kahoot quiz event. Yes, we had promised you that we'll have a mega quiz today, and this is it. We will be having a mega quiz event from 1:45 to 2:15. So let's wait for a couple of minutes for people who are looking to participate to join, following which we will be starting with our Kahoot quiz. So yes, everyone who is wanting to join can join in. You all can ask your friends to join in. It will be a great and exciting quiz. Yes, we will be sharing the pin as soon as possible. Waiting for Jay to come. The Kahoot event is starting right now at 1:45. Alright, before we start the quiz, I have an exciting announcement to make. I want all the participants of the quiz to share their best experiences of the hackathon on their social media, that is LinkedIn and Twitter. Share your best experiences from this hackathon on a LinkedIn and Twitter and win exciting prizes and swags from Script Foundation. So before we start this quiz, let's all get together and do this. You will get exciting and amazing prizes. Go on your LinkedIn, go on your Twitter, and post your best experiences from the bootcamp and tag Script Foundation to win exciting prizes. All right, on the YouTube section, the comment section, I'm sharing the links of 3 freebies that we will be giving you. So go check them out, see the prizes that's in store for you through the Kahoot event and the social media tagging. So go on the YouTube comments. I've posted it right now. So go and check out the links. And in the hackathon, the code the code is 0001 of the hackathon, and you have to select hack you. So that's it for the hackathon, and check out the 3 links. And I've also posted the link for the Kahoot event. Here's the link. Here's the code for the Kahoot event game pin. To answer Mr. Hirani's question, no, the yesterday's Kahoot event didn't happen, and we had announced that we'll have a mega quiz today, so that will be starting any moment now. And I've shared with you all the game pin, so you can go to kahoot.it and log in. The domain link, or let me just repost the link once. It's not working for anyone. Here is the domain link, Mr. Rani. The code pin is visible on the screen. You can go and log in. Oh, I think it's not working. Yes, that link is not working. I will come to fresh link. All right, so there's a bit of a delay. Y'all can go check out the links I have provided for the freebies, and y'all can do the social media challenge as well. So do that, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. All right. Good afternoon to everyone present here. We are back with today's stream. I can see four people have joined the stream as of now. So everyone join in, tune in, tell everyone else to come because we will be starting a second session for today by 2:15. So let everyone know that we've started. Tune in. All right. So let's start our second session for the day. So our second session today is by Tanushi Karanwal. It's on design thinking, a very interesting, futuristic, and relevant topic. And ma'am has immense experience in this area. So I'm sure it'll be a very informative and a very exciting session for everyone who joins in. So let's invite ma'am to start the session.
Yep. Hey, Yuvraj. Hi. Thank you so much for having
Good
me.
afternoon, ma'am.
It, Good afternoon. So I'm perfectly audible, right?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible. You can start your session.
Yeah. Great, great. So, very good afternoon to all. This is Tanushi Karanwal, and currently, a little bit about my professional introduction. I am the assistant program manager at NP Spark, which is an edtech startup, and it has been more than like what 1.5 years for me to work with the student ecosystem, then working with creating startups, then formulating ideas, working on different or the other ideas and making them, implementing them in certain areas. So this has been my life for the since I've started after my graduation, and this is something that I really find very much interesting. Why? So today's topic that we are trying to that we will be covering today is about design thinking, and I don't know. I'm not sure if you have come across this term recently or not, but there is a bit of buzz around the internet for this entire thing. So let's just get started with what design thinking is. So, a little bit of introduction regarding the, I don't know, I mean, I believe that all of you are from engineering background, engineering courses, right? And in engineering, you must have come across this subject or process which is called as SDLC, Software Development Life Cycle, right? So, in software development life cycle, as far as I remember, it is, of course, a development process for a software, and it starts from requirement analysis, then goes to the analysis, then designing, implementing, coding, testing, and then maintenance, right? I mean, there are a few more um, phases and stages as well in the middle, but this is what the ideal process looks like, right? Now, in SDLC, we understand that the SDLC is basically for the software requirements. I mean, for the development of a product which is there, which the business development team brings for us, and for the developers to make, then deliver it to their clients, right? Now, how does design thinking come into place? So, design thinking is not something which has just started right now. Design thinking, I mean, this term was not design thinking at that time, it was known as creative engineering. Okay, so it was around 1991, if I'm not wrong. Around that time, creative engineering took place because at that point in time, industrial revolution, I mean, a lot of things were going on and software was just taking place, and products were being made in ample of quantity, and the software industry was on the verge of booming, right? So at that point in time, to focus around what the design is, that is why design thinking came into place. Now, today, in this point in time, why design thinking is coming out of nowhere, right? I mean, it was in 1991 and then suddenly went off and then starting again in the in these pandemic times. So I tell you why this is happening. Because of course we all are here, it has been almost an year for COVID-19. I mean, in 2019 started, and the buzz around design thinking started early 2019 itself. Okay, so in pandemic we have seen a lot of companies, a lot of MNCs cutting off jobs, and then struggling to at least have a sustainable development, to at least survive in COVID and pandemic times. Now, for all the leaders that were there in all the MNCs and the companies, it has become, it became a crucial part for them to come up with different or out of the box strategies to help them survive in pandemic. Because a lot of factors, clients canceling the production thing, then clients canceling the orders, and customers focusing around different stuff, and then new products also being launched at times, when we were all focusing around healthcare systems. So that was the thing. Now, so that is the reason why design thinking started taking place in today's world, right? In almost like 2 years, it has been 2 years. So recently, I've come across this term. Why? Because I was actually, I tell you how I landed up to this entire term of design thinking. So while I was working with all the students and institutions as well to deliver some solutions. And now for the corporates, it is all, I mean, this is a hard fact, but hard and a dark fact, if you can say so, but it's business, right? A lot of, I mean, every business is focused around monetary terms, right? They are focused around how are we supposed to earn money, right? And they focus around numbers, how many solutions are being delivered, and what are the all the metrics and different KPIs, right? So at that point in time, I was working with students, and there was some or the other issue that happened. Okay. Now, the students or the institutions, they were not using the solution that we were providing. Why? I or the manager that was there was not able to understand why this is happening, and there was a lot of pressure that we were facing because the solutions are not being delivered properly. So then I started researching about it. I came across this entire process. I went down to back to basics. Now, when we say that going down to the basics, we say going back to the zero, right? So I went and started discussing with these students, try to understand what their exact problem is happening, why they are not doing, what is the reality. So for me, it is one of the strengths that when I talk to students or any kind of people, they simply they start having a good conversation. I mean, they try to open up and they try to tell their problem when you are genuinely listening to it, because right. So this is what it happens. And at times like this, we started with the design thinking process, and this is how we tried taking place the entire process into our implementation thing, right? So now I tell you what exactly the entire process looks like. And so in design thinking, just simply like SDLC, we have this entire process which has certain stages as well. Okay, it starts with number one as empathy. If anytime after this session, if you go around Google, you come across this entire process, it says empathy is the number one thing. Now, why empathy, and what exactly is this empathy? Right. So, empathy being the stage number one of this entire process has a reason behind it. I tell you what is the reason. So this entire design thinking process is focused around for to be very customer oriented. Okay. Now, why I say customer oriented? Because it specifically in the initial phases itself, they try to have customer engagement in order to understand what this this product can be use of, or how can we use entire product if it comes into existence. Okay, this product or the service, I'm taking both here. Okay, now what we generally do as a part of engineer, as being engineers or being product designers or product development, the uh, engineers itself. So what we try to do is we are given some requirements by the business development team in some sort of SRS documents. You know what is SRS document, right? So when the SRS document is received, so there are three different levels. One, what did the business development team understand from the client or customers? How did they grasp what they said, and how they have formulated in the document to be able to help you understand as engineers, right? So in these three levels, there can be a chance of discrepancy as well. Okay. Now, when you say that a discrepancy can happen, I mean, you might have seen a process wherein, when you try to convey something and it gets misinterpreted and at different levels, and certainly you are, you're not, the customer is not able to the customer is not satisfied with the product entirely, right? So because you were not able to deliver what they needed, right? So that is how things happen. Now to focus on what exactly the customers want, that is why we have empathy as number one stage of design thinking. Okay. uh, See, the customers are never going to tell you exactly what they want. I mean, if you ask them, I mean, if you go and ask, what are your problems? What are you facing right now? They're not going to say that we want something which can, which is lightweight, which we can. So for example, of wheelchair, let's take an example of wheelchair in a village, in a rural area. Okay. Now, when you are designing a wheelchair, when you go to your customer to ask what are the features that you are require, what are the problems that you face, you will not come across any kind of feedback that will say that we want lightweight vehicle, we want something that can help us, move quickly. We want something which requires less space. Nothing like that. Okay, they will say that we have a problem in getting up to to climb stairs with the wheelchair. The wheelchair or something does not fit into our houses, or it takes a lot of space, and then we are not able to manage it. These kind of these kind of requirements you get from the users when you are trying to formulate the entire thing, right? Now, to be able to understand, putting yourself into their shoes is what is called as empathy. To be able to understand, actually understand their problem. Okay, so that's what empathy means. It starts with this. I mean, design thinking starts with empathy. Okay, I mean, it might sound a little bit psychological and irrational and non-practical, but in real world, this is something that can happen, and this is something which is needed. Now, when you go back and are working on some minor or major project of your college, you will see that the problem that you have chosen, you might think that there is a need in the market without the user validation, right? I'm just talking about major projects here, because nowadays major projects are something like the keys to your resumes and your next job, and your job landing, right? So when you talk about major project, you say, if somebody asks you, for whom have you created this, right? You will say that we have created this entire project for blind people. We want them they are able to so that they can type well, they can understand well, and all sort of features, right? But did you actually go to blind people to understand that is this something they require, right? I mean, have you actually gone or actually talked to somebody who is facing this problem ever tried testing it, because this is something that never happens in college times, right? This is something which never happens in your major, right? This is a part of research, right? This is a part of research when you talk about empathy, when you do design thinking. That's why we are having this session right now. Now, so for the people who are there right now in this session, I would really emphasize and suggest this, that if you are working, if you've already started working on your projects or your majors or anything that you are currently working upon, do give emphasis on customer feedback. Okay, engaging your customer in the early ages, in the early stages of your entire process will give you benefits. Now, what kind of benefits? It will help you understand, number one, what are the features that you will be require, and what is the use case that you're trying to solve with your product or your service, right? It helps you keep on doing the iterations if it is not up to the mark. It helps you at the end to deliver a product, a service, or something which is actually useful for the people, which is actually being used by somebody, right? So that is why empathy, I've already emphasized on empathy a lot. I hope that you have already got the idea here. Now let us proceed with the another stage. I hope you are taking notes, and that is why is the reason I have not gone with the PPT right now, because I really feel that talking directly like this and helping you understand would be a much interactive way. I mean, if you have any comments, if you have any doubts, if you want to suggest anything, just let me know. Okay. So that is how I thought that this is going to be very interactive, in way we'll be able to understand what are the ideas and things like that, right? Now, once we have empathized, now the second stage is about defining the entire problem. Now, if you have understood what the requirements are and what the users are trying to have, now you try to formulate that entire thing into a problem statement. Now, this is the second step. But to the conventional methods or the thought process that we generally have is, we try to focus on what the entire problem statement is. Now, the number one step there is problem statement, but here it is second. Now, first of all, we understand what are the requirements, what is it that they want, and then we move on to the problem statement thing. Okay, now that we have understood what exactly are the requirements, we try to formulate the entire problem statement. Now, formulating, now once we have done it, we now this is what the entire define stage is all about. Okay, it takes time to able to put it into words and put it into one statement there, right? So that is what about the problem, about the defined stages. Now the third stage is about ideate. Now that is a very interesting stage. Why? Because it requires you to think out of the box. It requires you to brainstorm a little, not a little, actually more. Helps you brainstorm, helps you come across, run through your wild ideas, and uh, that is something very interesting, because at that time you are only thinking about solving the problem, and you're not thinking that how are we going to implement it, right? Now this is something that I have come across very often, that students, while deciding about the major project, they think what is implementable in terms of solution, and according to that, what is the problem statement that we can select. That is how the process works with students. So I understand that that is something which the students require in terms of completing the projects or doing certain things, but and it takes less time as well. But when we try to understand and go through a process which is already, which is right, which is correct, and which is going to take a little time initially, but is going to be very fruitful in the long term. Okay, so that is why we try to have these kind of processes. Now in the ideate process, it entirely consists of generating ideas. Now if this is just an introductory session to help you understand with the entire process, but if it was a workshop, we would have been working around a lot of sticky notes there, and writing around different ideas, different what exactly we are trying to achieve there. So uh, so that is how the ideate stage works around. We try to focus around what are the different types of ideas. Like for example, I tell you, I was a part of Amazon Alexa's student influencer program. I was managing that, and in that we tried to have different set of something which was not a webinar. We wanted to have an event which was something not a webinar, wherein the students do not have to just sit there and listen, but to be playing around, but to be very competitive and be interactive and something which is a little bit interesting. So we came up with this one idea of not a hackathon, but it was triathlon. I mean, it was of course something which is I mean, I don't know if you have heard about this thing. Triathlon is something which has three competitions in it. Okay. So we came across with this idea that in these three competitions, one, we can have an online quiz, second, we can have a short coding session, and the third, in the winning ones, we try to deploy an Alexa skill directly, which is the most interesting. And we posted on the social media, and the ones which gets a lot of interaction and a lot of engagement there wins it. Simple. Okay. And it was not going to be something wherein you have to wait for days, because of course the retention is something that we want to achieve, and we want to have a different number of engagement as well. So what we did was, uh, we uh, we thought of having this quiz wherein a lot of students come across, they fill the quiz, and immediately we get the results. And the ones who have passed on, they immediately go to the coding session. Now the coding session is something wherein it was a battle. Okay, it was a battle wherein two coders are in online, in two screens being shared to the audience, and they are coding, right, on something, some or the other problem statement. Okay, it's a short coding session, and the one who does it first wins. So there were different battles and battle sessions going on one by one between two coders. Okay, so that was something. And then the ones who won the challenges, who won the battles, they come in the last and create the skill and publish it. The ones who gets first is the winner. Okay, now you see, it was not something, I'm not trying to appreciate myself in that, but now you see how it differs. Now at that point, I mean, this is something about last year only, and there were a lot of webinars going on, and a lot of students were already stuck with their online classes from institutions, right? So we didn't want it to capture them into some kind of introductory session or something like that, but we wanted to make it more entertaining, and that is how we came up with this idea. So there was a brainstorming session between the team entirely to understand how we can make what are the ideas that we can do, and then we certainly made it possible as well. Now that is something that we can do. Okay, so once the ideate part of design thinking or the stage is completed, we'll move to the prototyping part, wherein the implementation part happens. Okay, now while you're ideating, don't ever try to think of, is it possible to implement or not, right? Don't try to restrict your ideas basis if it is implementable or not, because that's how you're restricting yourself from doing innovations, right? Design thinking is all about innovation. I mean, this is something which, you want to create something which is not there. You want to put it there. You want to be the first to be able to make it possible. And today, nowadays, everything is possible, right? If you have a team, if you have the mindset to do it, if you have good ideas, if you have anything, and everything is possible. Okay, so stage 3 was ideate. Now stage 4 is prototyping, wherein we try to implement things. Now the prototyping should not take more time. Once it is done, you throw it to the customer, say, tell me if it is satisfiable or not. Are you satisfied with this? They say no, we want something like this. You make some changes if it is possible, you make some changes, you change the, and there is iterations that happen. See, if you take a lot of time in just prototyping, it's never going to be launched. As soon as you feel that, okay, this is done, or maybe just put a timeline for yourself that within 1 month it has to be completed. If it is completed, just show it to the customers or client. Are you satisfied with this? What are the changes that you require? Then you get back, make the changes, then show again and again. It's an iteration process, it takes time. That is why you have to be very fast while promoting by creating a prototype and showing it to the customers, right? Because that's how the things work. That's how you keep on getting the feedback and keep on improvising there as well, right? Now, once the prototyping is done, you start testing. Now, this is the entire thing that I told you just now, the testing part, wherein you give it to your customers right away. Okay, this is an iterative process wherein you keep prototyping, you keep testing, trial and error, trial error, trial error, right? Like that, until unless you succeed. Once you succeed, it's done. It is there with the, it is trying to tackle with the problem that was there. It is trying to try to solve the problem. Now you test it for a long while. If it is actually being able to satisfy the problems of the customers, right? Maybe customers are not able to again understand at that point in time, but you are there because you have eyes, because you are observing. And observation comes in the empathy part, wherein you are observing with your eyes, ears, all of your senses, and trying to understand what they are dealing with, right? So this is the entire process of design thinking. Okay, it has 5 stages. You can add a little more into the between here and then. This is something which is going to give you an overview. Okay, there's one thing I want to add before closing down, because we are almost at the closure of this entire session. There's another term which can help you with the empathy part. Just a second. Yes. So, with the empathy, to be able to understand what exactly empathy, or how do we measure empathy is, how do we measure empathy is by the help of empathy maps. Okay. Now, empathy maps is something which is going to help you understand, saying what is that the customer is saying. I mean, it helps you visually understand them in terms of a chart which says, I mean, what is the user saying, number one, what is the user actually thinking, number two, number three, what is the user doing, what does it do, and what how does the user feels. These are the four things that helps you observe and measure empathy, or not just measure, but to be able to entirely understand your user is what the empathy maps are all about. Okay, now because the empathy term is new to the entire process, that's why I'm telling you about the empathy maps, so that it helps you um, understand a lot more about the same thing. What the user says, thinks, does, and feels is are these four things which are included in the empathy. Now, just giving you a little bit of summarizing here before closing down. We talked about different process. We talked about a design thinking process, which includes 5 stages. Number one is empathy. Number two, thinking about design. Number three is ideate, prototyping, and then test. These are the five stages of design thinking. And we also talked about what are empathy maps. I mean, these are all just overviews because, of course, we have less time here. But if you feel that design thinking is interesting, ping me on LinkedIn. You know it well, Tanushi Karanwal. This is my name, and I work for InfySpark. Just ping me, on LinkedIn that we are interested to have it, so we can later on have a discussion around it, have a workshop entirely of 2 3 hours. I mean, of course, it's not going to be boring because design thinking is something that helps you think, and the more you think, the more ideas you get, the more you research, the more things you realize what is happening in the world, and wherever, I mean, what are the places that requires attention of yours, right? Now, why I'm saying this is because if you're a student, you're able to do many more things, many more, before landing onto a job, before landing onto any big corporates, because there the projects are big. But when you are a student, you can of course take care of the ground problems which are there in front of you, which you feel you can solve it. You just need a team to discuss. You just need different brains as well to work around it, right? So I think this is all from my side. If you have any questions, if you have any feedback also to give, you can certainly go around in the comments, or as Yuvraj said, you can go and have a post on LinkedIn, or you can just search around me and ping me as well, right? So this is all about. I just need to inform just a second. Yes. So yeah, so I'll just be waiting for your questions if there are any. I mean, this was all about overview, right? So if you go and search about this, there are a lot of MNCs that have tried design thinking a lot in order to satisfy their customers, or maybe just uh, go above and beyond for their strategies, to work around the strategies as well. So just let me know. I'll be in the. I'm just reading at the comment section here. Okay, so we have Yuvraj again. Hey Yuvraj, hi.
Yes.
So
Hi, ma'am.
that's all for the session. I really hope that if it would have been a longer one, sometime in future, if we have a longer one, we can definitely work around with the workshop as well. It's going to be very interesting, but I think
Sure,
this is
sure.
all for that we can go forward with. So
No
thanks a lot
problem.
for having me. It was great time here.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was a great session. I hope we all really loved the nice informative session. So moving on to our next session for today. Right now we have a short break for all of you. We've been having back-to-back sessions since yesterday. So after a short break, we'll be back at 3:20, where we'll have an amazing new session on how teams can build and ship a project fast using Ripple IT. Ripple IT is a very nice and exciting software, and they have partnered with us in our bootcamp as well. So we have a session by Mr. Arnav Bansal at 3:20 on how to build a project using Triple IT. So do join us at 3:20 for that session. We'll be taking a short break right now. Thank you. All right. Hello, Mr. Bansal. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Let's give you a couple of minutes to join. We'll
Sure.
be starting in like 2 minutes. All right, so it's 3:20, I think. So let's start with the last and final session of TRION Bootcamp 2.0. We have with us Mr. Arnab Bansal, and he'll be giving us an informative and exciting session on how to build and ship a project fast using Ripple IT. So over to you, Mr. Bansal. All the best.
Thanks, Yuvraj. All right, let's start. So welcome to my talk. How your team can ship things fast using Raffle. Is my screen visible? Yeah, looks like it. All right. Right, so you can find this presentation, this URL, if you want to follow along. There's some video content, there's some links. All right, so my name's Arnav. I live in Bangalore. I'm an engineer at Replit. So who's Replit? Replit is it's a Bay Area company aiming to make programming more fun, collaborative, and social. We're an IDE that lives in the browser that you and your collaborators can connect to and work on things together. Our goal is to get you to build things faster than ever, right? So the first question you might have is, why is any of this important, right? So we live in a world where it's important to iterate quickly. You will find that what your business requires can often change quickly with little warning. Your team must be ready to adapt to these changes, right? So an example of this is like a year ago when the world suddenly became remote first by default due to the coronavirus lockdowns over the span of a few weeks. The last few decades of innovation in computers and the internet just became central. Everyone needed to rely on it, right? So the businesses that were able to adapt to this environment, they thrived, right? In software, this means the ability to move quickly in response to what your customers demand. So yeah, the transition to remote was really easy at Raffle, and this was because we rely on our own product in a lot of unique ways that help us move fast. So also, yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to drop in a comment. All right. So let's start. What is Replit? It's a low setup environment, right? So what does that mean? So there's a lot of friction to starting new projects, right? You're often making like a myriad of decisions that have nothing to do with your core idea. You're picking the platform, programming language, front-end frameworks, libraries, and tooling. And yeah, this problem is compounded when other people on the team need to use your app, right? You pick a stack, you have to pick a stack that works for everyone. And soon enough, you're writing READMEs and helping team members debug why your new app or script isn't working on their computer, right? So it may turn out that you have a MacBook and they have Windows, right? And you've designed your program to expect like a Unix interface, and suddenly nothing works for them, right? And often at this point, people tend to pull out the big guns. Suddenly they're configuring Docker and VirtualBox or whatnot, and making people pull several gigabytes of images every other day just to like get started working on your code, right? And what this really ends up meaning is you start fewer projects, right? And so the solution to all of this is to realize that it's cheaper to just share the work environment than it is to waste engineering time in configuration required to like replicate the same environment on other people's computers. So on Replit, you get a container that has great defaults every time. This means that simple apps can stay simple and free from config and bloat. Everyone on your team can now access these apps without wasting time, resources, in configuration hell. And another great advantage is that it takes very little time to resume work on a project, right? So if you're working on like a side project on your own computer, and you're resuming after a while, it's going to take a while to get set up. You first search for like where your project is located, or you might have to pull it from GitHub. Then you would install dependencies, right? And if you're on like a different computer, you don't have the right tooling installed. You'll have to spend time and data working to install all of that. And all this really just sucks the joy out of building things. So yeah, so we've built an environment to develop fast, right? So I guess this is a good time to start with like our first demo here. Title. So let's say you want to build an API using Node.js, right? So you'd start out by creating a Raffle. A Raffle is a container of code. This is what we call our projects. So let's call it Express example. There we go. So this is a Node.js environment. It's got everything you might need. So go to the shell. If I need npm, it's your all the standard stuff that you might expect from a Node project. Let's say I want to build like an API with Node.js. So we selected the language, and now we can just start typing code. Right, so let's say we want to use Express. And if I just run this right now, you'll notice that I don't need to manually install these dependencies. The environment did it for us just from looking at the code, right? This is because we built our package manager to just automatically figure out what packages you need directly from your code, and it installs it for you. It always uses the canonical package manager for each language underneath, right? So for Node.js, it is internally still going to use npm, and it'll generate the same log files. So here's Express. Remember how to do it. app.use. And there we go. This is our, we just started an Express server. It's available on this URL, right? you don't have to forward any ports. I can just share this with my friends, and they have access to this. I can debug things here. I can stop and start to run my server again. And if I want to like understand what's happening, I have a full Linux shell available here. So this is like a brief intro to what our environment looks like. Cool. Oh, hold on. It's glitching out. Sorry about that. I think it's the video. Is anyone seeing anything, or is it glitched out? Right. I think there's a video on this page, which is why it's glitching out with the screen recorder. So this is actually a great time to show how versatile Replit is, because this presentation was made on Replit itself. So I can go here. It's on the multiplayer slide. There's a video. I'm gonna copy that. All right, there you go. Got it back. There's a video. Shame can't be played. So Replit is built for collaboration, right? When you're building tooling for your team, it shouldn't feel like you're like eternally responsible for maintaining it. So at Replit, we have a really collaborative culture where we all help build and maintain our common tooling. So it's like a lot of things. Yeah, many REPLs are critical to Replit. So we have scripts for deploying parts of our infrastructure. We have Slack bots for managing releases, all running on Replit, and something as simple as a weekly lunch. So we have a script because we're all working remotely and we don't get to meet our coworkers who are in different countries. We get to we run a script to like organize random meetings throughout the week where we can hang out and maybe have lunch with our coworkers. Of course, in my case, the time zones are very different. So it's never lunchtime for me. A video would demonstrate how multiplayer works, but it's basically like Google. If you've used Google like collaboration on Google Docs, it's pretty much like that. You would see people's cursors pop up on screen, and they'd be able to, modify code, and you'll see the changes in real time. And that brings us to our next point: threads. Is this glitching out? No, it's working. So often, REPLs come to mean a lot more than a container of code. So when people can join your REPL, it becomes like a place where you want to discuss what's happening in your code base. And so this is why we build threads. You can select any piece of code and have discussions about it. Right? I can go back to this example. Let's just say, so here's a message. If a team member was on with me, they could reply to me right here. They could access all threads across all files here. And this way we can collaborate on our code remotely, which is what Raffle's been used for this year, is remote collaboration. All right. So yeah, if you're let me check if it's working. Yeah, the video's on. So if you're using Replit with friends or at work, you're going to be creating a lot of REPLs that need to be available to everyone. And you're going to have a lot of common configuration often, and REPLs that can depend on each other. You can do this via setting up your company as a team. This makes it really easy to create spaces where people can collaborate. And I guess I'm not sure how relevant this is at this conference, but we also build tools for education. So if you or anyone teaches computer science at a school or a boot camp, You can set up teams for education, which is like a product that makes it easy for teachers to teach students how to code. This is like a GIF of one of my favorite features here, which is called Who's Coding. So if you're in a team, you get to see like everyone else who's online right now and which REPL they're in. I could try to look at it right now. This is our team at Raffle. So right now it's only me because we're a Bay Area company, and everyone's sleeping right now. So you can see that I'm in these two REPLs. I'm looking at our blog, which is also self-hosted on Raffle, and our handbook. If other people were online, I would see them here and I could jump to them. All right. I guess we could talk about how we use Teams at Replit ourselves. As I mentioned, we run our blog on Replit. So here it is. I can open this in a new tab. So this is our blog. We talk about the things that we're building. Some posts are technical, some posts are product announcements. And we have a blogging culture. Everyone gets to blog. We often have guest bloggers as well. And the way we blog is simply by heading over to a REPL called Replit Blog on our util team, which is like our, this is the team that builds Replit. And our blog is hosted here. You can see how it works. All the code's public. In fact, you could head over to the blog URL and click edit on Raffle. You can check out how our blog works, right? And adding a post is really easy and really fun. I just have to write a markdown file. Here's the post that I wrote a while ago, a quick announcement. I'll just add the metadata about my post. I'll type it up, and before I launch it to the world, I want to get feedback from my team. So I would look at threads. Looks like I have some feedback on an old post here, so I can take a look. What's going on here? I see. It was a spelling correction. This is like a post I wrote about announcing this feature itself, threads, and everyone provided feedback. This is our collaborative culture. Everyone gets to pitch in on things, and yeah, that helps improve what we end up shipping. So yeah, all this means that we need very minimal effort to just get started blogging. Every team member can choose to blog about things they're building, and yeah, it's great fun. And this is just one of the ways in which we can use REPLs to blog. And how this works is we run our blog server on this REPL, and you can attach a custom domain to any REPL, which means that the REPLs are served at this domain, and it's all free of cost. So lots of people use Replit to host their personal sites. You could do that too, and the best part is to resume work on your site. Often what ends up happening with personal sites, I know because I've done this, is you build it out for the first time, and then it just like lays around somewhere on your computer or on GitHub. But if it's on Replit, it's so much easier to just access it and modify it that you're going to end up doing it a lot more often, which is why it's a great idea to host your sites on Replit. Another way we use Replit is for a handbook and meeting notes. So whenever we have internal meetings, we write meeting notes beforehand and make them available on our meeting notes REPL. People can then use, they can create threads, annotate some code, and discuss topics of action. And sometimes we find that meetings are not even necessary, right? This saves everyone a lot of time and keeps our workday productive. We also write about our company. All our employee information is available here on this handbook Raffle. All is markdown files. Right? Here's a post describing the history of Replit. Right, so we don't have to set up anything, like any specific site for this. It's just available within our Raffles. And finally, we host our Slack bots in our own infrastructure, so it makes it really easy for people to work on and modify them. So let me show you an example. So this is our smoke test Raffle, and what this does is we use a service called Walrus AI to smoke test our releases. So we test the common things like does web hosting work? Does do Prybart, do different languages work and all that? And the way this works is it's a bot running on that's available through Slack. So this repo is just dealing with Slack commands. We've configured it so that someone can just enter a command in Slack and it's going to trigger something on this repo. And so adding a new test is to just go here and describe how your test works. And yeah, that's how you would set up a smoke test. All right, what else? So finally, a feature that we're working on, a product that we're working on, I guess, is Teams for Business. So it's being designed for startups and enterprise to solve many collaborative needs. So an example of that could be interviews. So if you apply at Replit, our interview process is incredibly streamlined. You submit a solution to a coding problem as stage one. That's it's just a REPL that you can fork and fill in with your solution and submit to us. And after that, if you get to that stage, you can join one of our engineers to collaboratively work on a solution to a relevant problem, the kind that you would actually see at work day to day at Replit. This way you can experience what working with us is like, and so can we. And this just makes for a really great, really fun interview process. And so one of the things that we're going to be focusing on is interviews. So how can we make it easier to onboard new people on your team? A lot of what we are shipping is things that we do ourselves with our own product, and they're totally applicable to people building their own for people in other companies. So yeah, another pain point for companies working collaboratively with contractors is that working with people who are not in your organization. So what code they have access to, what things they're working on, and how do you interact with them, how do you give them feedback. Teams for Business will make it super easy to onboard and work with people not in your org who are like contractors. And apart from this, you get all the benefits of using Replit. So here's the sign up link. You can click on it and it will let you sign up for Teams for Business, and that will let you you would get, if you join early, you're gonna get like discounted rates in the future as well, and you get to give us feedback and help us figure out what the product should look like for you. So I recommend signing up to Teams for Business. And also, if you're interested on towards working with us, you can apply at rapplet.com/jobs. So here's our jobs page. So if you like tinkering with language runtimes, programming environments, and you're interested in collaboration and anything to do with that, feel free to apply with us. I will add this page to the slides here. Oops. All right. Yeah, I guess that's it. Unless anyone has any questions, so you can find us on Twitter. Here's our Twitter page. It's great to see what we're working on. You can follow and watch out for new product announcements from us. You can also follow me. Yeah, that's it. Does anyone have any questions? You can take a look at any of the slides here. Cool. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Thank you so much, sir, for your amazing session. That was truly insightful. I think we'll take it over from here.
Thanks for having me. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir. All right, so that was an amazing session and a truly wonderful end to our 2 days of insightful knowledge, fun, and amazing journeys. That was the end of TRION Bootcamp Day 2, 2021, edition 2.0. Thank you so much for everyone who was involved in the making of this and everyone who participated, everyone who signed up, everyone who joined the live stream. It really meant a lot to us. I hope you liked what we had to present to you. The speakers were truly amazing. You're going to connect with them. I think some of them shared their LinkedIn profiles. So feel free to connect with all the speakers who came there and feel free to gain knowledge, explore. We have many more things. Script Foundation has many more things lined up for everyone. So look forward to that. Connect with us on our social media, and I'm sure that we won't disappoint anyone of you all. All right. So to end our TRION bootcamp, I would like to announce the results and the winners of our community awards. So get ready for this. Our results of the community awards are as follows. Best Female Education Community goes to Girl Coded. Congratulations. Second of all, the Community Organizer of the Year goes to /Mozilla Club. And the Community Impact in Field of Technology Award goes to Code Script. Thank you so much, and congratulations to all the winners of the Community Awards. This will be it from our side. Keep learning, keep evolving, and keep moving forward. There's a lot that life has to offer you. Thank you so much for joining and participating. It was truly an honor.